Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a reminder, to make sure when you speak to unmute your microphone till it's green, and to speak into the microphone so the folks watching at home can hear you. And with that, the first thing on the agenda is the points of pride. Superintendent.
I'm going to be asking for your patience. We have lots of points of pride. So, high school, thank you to everyone who helped make New Hampshire Tackles Hunger be successful this year again. As of a few days ago, our community had donated 822 pounds of food. Also, Conval High School hosted a mini jobs fair on Tuesday. Exhibitors set up tables on the front apron where students made contact with potential employers. The school counselors delivered a presentation on the college application process to parents and guardians of seniors last Wednesday. Families were invited to drop in for help with Naviance and the Common App. This Thursday evening, the school counseling department will host a virtual presentation on the financial aid process at 6 o'clock for any family that's interested. And so those of you watching at home, that is anyone interested, K-12. So please join us. Students participating in Running Start classes with the Community College System of New Hampshire have started the process of registering and earning credit through the dual enrollment .com. The deadline, of course, on that is October 29th. The class of 2022 and 2023 will host a fall festival on Saturday, October 9th from 4 to 6. Lots of fall activities. And as part of an ecology unit in biology, students are collecting and analyzing field data on health of the pond ecosystem. They're learning the difference between abiotic and biotic factors, identifying macroinvertebrates, and testing the water quality of the pond. At PES, second graders took on the challenge of cleaning up the campus. On Friday, they spent much of the day outside with gloved hands, of course, and picked up anything on the campus that was making it look littery. That's not what's written. That's what the kids said. GBS will be having an in-person open house tomorrow on Wednesday. They'll be running 2 sessions starting at 5:30 to help maintain physical distancing. And the Culture Committee at South Meadow School had a successful celebration with an all-school picnic on Friday, October 1st. And I got to spend some time at that picnic, and the kids were great, the staff was great, and everyone had a great time. And those are our points of pride today.
Thank you, Superintendent. With that, we are on to our first period of public comment. The primary purpose of a school board meeting is to conduct the business of the district. It is not the same as town meeting or deliberative session. Members of the public have no constitutional right to be heard during a board meeting. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to speak. Each speaker may only speak once during each meeting. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board tonight? No. Okay. All right. Hearing none, seeing none. That's the end of the first public comment period. There will be another one later in the evening. With that, we are on to the consent agenda. There are 2 items in your consent agenda this evening. The first are the school board minutes from our September 21st, 2021 meeting. The second are retirement notifications, which appear on page 7 of your packet. There are 4 of them listed tonight. Any objection to the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. With that, Superintendent's report, presentation of business, reopening update. Kimberly.
Thank you. We are looking at the cases that we've had positive and watching those cases and the close contacts. The good news is outside of 1 or 2 close contacts that actually were not children, we have not seen any close contacts to any of our positive cases, known positive cases, develop into COVID-19. So I will have a fuller report the next time we meet on exactly how many cases we have and what that close contact looks like so that you can kind of track that concern. We have continued to try to increase our time outside. If you notice, there's lots of time outside on the Points of Pride. We also are working to maximize the use of our tents. If you were at SMS at all today, you would notice that all 5 of our outdoor spots were being utilized simultaneously at multiple points throughout the day. Besides that, the good news is we are seeing a significant decrease in the per 100,000 rate in the Greater Monadnock Public Health Region, which is great news. We continue to meet with the COVID monitoring team regularly, and so far we have no additional recommendations to make, or that team has no additional recommendations to make at this time. And that's the reopening plan update.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Oh.
Sorry, what?
Do you want me to?
No, I meant for that particular one, before we do the next one. All right, was that it?
Yep.
Okay, all right, monthly events calendar?
Sure. So if you take a look at the monthly events calendar, you can, is there anything additional for this week, which is the week of the 4th? Anything additional for next week, the week of the 11th? The week of the 18th? The week of the 25th? Moving to November. Anything the first week in November? Please note that Saturday budget session that starts at 8:30 a.m. That's here at the SAU, yes. Anything additional the week of the 8th? The week of the 15th? The 17th is a Wednesday?
Communications meeting on the 17th and 18th, or 11th.
We may not be able to have an administrator at that meeting.
You can still meet without them, but that's
Yep.
up to you.
And the week of the 22nd. And that final week in November.
They usually, I think they haven't had one before in November because it always falls on Thanksgiving. I offered to make a turkey last year. They still said no. You already heard from them, so there will not be one in November. Okay, thank you. And may not be one in December. We'll let you know.
Okay. And then you can see the October 1 enrollment. Well, we won't know until after we get the estimated amount. So, but this is an increase over last year of students, so. The only other thing that I have that I should have done under the reopening plan has to do with homebound instruction. So I just wanted to give you a little update on that. So we have at this point been able to hire 2 tutors. We are looking for estimated 2 more based on the number. So it's a per hour rate based on the number of students that we have right now. If that continues, we're estimating it to be between about $85,000. It should be about $85,000, and that's based on the per hour rate of X number of hours a week. Happy to answer questions.
from the booth. You can. Dr. Ullman. Green is good. Move the mic.
Kim, I thought at the public meeting, it might be good to, when we say it's an $85,000 package, differentiate between the salary and then the cost of the mandatory
Right.
benefits. It's, you know, it's
Right.
the salary is much less
Right.
impressive when you start figuring out the cost. of
Right.
it. So,
So we estimate that a single and certified teaching position costs the district, including if salary, benefits, all the roll-ups for retirement, about $85,000. So this is for individuals working, which will equal about two full. They're working about 20 hours a week, and that's where that's right now still an estimate. And so we're estimating at that $20 hours a week. Some are only available 10, some are available 15, but we're estimating that, and we're estimating about $85,000 right now for the year, from now until June.
Jim.
Since I have the numbers in front of me, the burden rates for teachers at SSP, total, FICA, and retirement is about 29%, and for paras, it's about 22%, just for your information.
Thank you, Jim. Greg.
I understand, Dr. Saunders, that these are contracted, these are not going to be employees, right?
These
So
are
there-
exactly.
No benefits, nothing, we're just strictly
Right.
hourly
The-
wage, so we're
right.
not talking all that other stuff, strictly
Right,
hourly.
we are, it's 1099.
Love it, thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Report for today.
Thank you. Next, teacher's rep. Step on up, push the little button, the mic will go green.
There, can you hear me now? Okay. Cheryl Jesse, occupational therapist in the school district, vice president of the CVEA. Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you all for being here. We would like to recognize our nurses for working so hard and helping our students and staff stay safe and healthy. They are ensuring that sick students and staff are kept home or are sent home, and that is not an easy task these days. It's really hard sometimes with sick kids coming in and having to call and send them home, which is not easy on parents. We wanted to make sure that you all know that the majority of teachers are in favor of mask wearing. With the higher number of cases in our schools, the masks and the distancing are helping to keep our staff healthy, because we are not always able to be within the 3 feet, away, for 3 feet or more away, especially with the younger kids like preschool. We as a staff are concerned with the increase in the cases in the district, with staff having to quarantine, wait for test results, and being out sick, and the low number of substitutes, which I've heard talked about so many times, but it is a big concern. And that being said, we're so thankful to our staff who are stepping up and helping each other cover classes, cover duties. Our staff are really pulling together to help each other to keep our schools running smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Selectmen Advisory Committee, that'll be me because I was there. So there was a presentation by the superintendent on our lawsuit explaining that. There are some new members of that committee who didn't necessarily have all of the background on that. So the superintendent walked them through how we got there relative to our lawsuit regarding adequacy funding. There were a couple of, as there always are when you run through those numbers, some shocked may not be the right word, but new information provided in a to somewhat of a surprise. With that, we also provided updates from all of the other committees, letting them know where all of that stood, and then provided them, because that was shortly after our last school board meeting, to provide them an update on the budget guidance provided to the district by the school board. There was some discussion about asking select board members in all of the towns, all of the select board members, to sign on to a statement in support of the district's lawsuit as well. So that's on them to have future discussions. I owe them a first draft. So I will get that to them as soon as I can. That's it for that one. Equity, Rich?
Okay, so the Equity Committee met last week. We had one item on our agenda, which was we met with Terry Drogue, the new Director of School Counseling. You may recall that we have three goals for this year, and one of them was around school counseling K through 12. The meeting was mostly reading Terry in on concerns and perceptions, and also sort of letting her prepare early for a report out to the board at the end of the year that is as called for in our school counseling policy, because if you're going to issue such a report, it is better to know at the beginning of the year than to try to scramble to put it together in June. Anne did ask us to try to narrow the scope of the goal a bit, and I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think where we left things was that we wanted to make sure that at the beginning of Terry's tenure, that she was aware of the perceptions. We're not necessarily saying the perceptions are accurate, but they're questions being raised, and so one of the things we will try to do is validate the perceptions, and if they are not validated, then we will try to change them. And that is it for that meeting.
Thank you, Rich. Alan, Community Forum.
Okay, I took a look, there was about 34 people that were in attendance at your forum. And a really interesting thing, there was 235 online views. And that is amazing. Like, I know during the meeting, it was a little lower, but it goes to show you technology where people can now watch when they want to watch. So a lot of people watched on Friday and a lot of people watched on Saturday. So that is really, I think it's a very positive thing to have that many people. And from the input I've gotten from folks, emails, texts, Facebook, etc., it's been very positive. I haven't heard any negatives about the meeting. People were very excited about it, how open it was, how the dialogue went back and forth, and how well it was controlled. I don't know what anybody else has heard, but that's pretty much what I've heard. The thing that was really good is the decorum of the people. And that was absolutely perfect. Intense, which it should be, but very well controlled, very well thought out, and just very well done. The only thing I found is that we did have too many presentations, but that really goes to what the people were really interested in, which is the masks, COVID, and the budget. That's obvious. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a lot better to be over-prepared than to be underprepared. And the time available was definitely filled up. In fact, it was more than filled up. Right, Tim? Okay.
Sorry, Helpreet.
Now,
Thanks for staying.
The other thing is that there was a really, and I think I sent it to everybody, a really interesting article in the Monadnock Ledger transcript about the forum, and a very positive one. Well, that precipitated something else. I got a call this afternoon, or actually an email this afternoon from NHPR, and they want to do a telephone interview about the forum and try to understand why it went out as good as it did when other forums like this don't. So they'll be talking to me, which is really interesting, tomorrow afternoon. I have no idea when it's going to air. That's it, except for one thing is that there was a heck of a lot of folks that did a lot of super work on this, and it showed at the forum. And thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Alan. Janine?
Tim, I was just wondering, were the select board members from SAC, were they, supportive of signing that statement about the, lawsuit?
No one in the room had an issue with it. I don't know how successful they will be in convincing all 27 of them
Okay,
to sign. But
okay. I wondered whether you'd gotten a consensus or something. Okay, thank you.
Kira?
I just want to, for the people who may be watching the meeting at home, I just want to say thank you in case any of them were people who spoke at the forum. When Alan said that the decorum of the people really made it successful, the speakers that we had in the audience were why that went off as well as it did, I think. And I just have to say thank you to all of them for participating thoughtfully, participating kindly, and really everybody just kind of having that open dialogue that made it so productive. So thank you to the members of our community.
Agreed. Thank you, Kira. Dr. Ullman?
I want to go along with those comments. I think what we found at the meeting was that everybody was unified on 2 points. The first is everybody wants our Conval students to be learning in person, and everybody wants to maintain as much good health among our students and staff as is possible. If there's any disagreement, it's about the means by which we try to achieve these 2 goals that unite all Conval citizens, parents, students, staff, etc. So good night, Alan. Good job.
Thank you, Dr. Ullman. All right. Hearing none, seeing none. So there will be another. That was the first. We have some good lessons from that. We'll have another one next quarter sometime. All right. With that, legislative update. I have none. As we informed you last time, there are several hundred legislative service requests, or LSRs, that directly impact, or at least based upon their title, will directly impact either public education in New Hampshire or the operations of the district. As the text of those bills becomes available, we will keep you all posted as that becomes available and as those bills begin to move. You don't have anything, right, other than those? Great. Okay. That's what the legislative update is for tonight. Questions? All right. You can read all of the LSR titles if you want. There's a staggering volume of those for part-time legislators. They sure don't miss the mark on drafting those. So, with that, next, the next item I put on the agenda was partly my own doing. Anticipating a possible government shutdown, as has happened numerous times in my 23 years, I expected to actually not be at my regular job this week, and instead would have likely been substituting somewhere in the district, which then led me to policy BCB. So we don't have to deal with this tonight, but it is something we may want to consider. This is a policy that deals with conflict of interest in board members and your ability to be paid or earn money from the district. If enough of you were to substitute for more than a couple of days, I forget what our daily rate is, you would find yourself exceeding the $200 limit that is contained in this policy. We have a carve-out for bus drivers because they are not technically employees of the district, but this was something to consider, that we may want to consider an exception or a carve-out for those of us that might end up substituting for the district. Just a thought as we go forward. I will add it. I will ask the policy committee to take a look at, unless there's somebody that's planning on substituting in the next month for multiple days. I would gladly then entertain a motion to provide that carve out now as the board. If not, we can let the policy committee take a run at it. Rich?
I move that we provide that carve out for the next 90 days.
The motion by Rich would allow board members to have an exception to policy BCB for purposes of serving as substitute teachers within the district. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dick Dunning. Discussion. Dr. Ullman.
What are you doing tomorrow, Dr. Ullman? It's, yeah. We have right. Yes, we have administrators subbing on a daily basis now.
I wasn't joking last May, when I forget when I made the joke, or this when there were 13 people in this room. that could have been subs. I mean, that's half joking. Not all of us are available every day. I know that, but it is a very real issue.
I got a call in Chicago 7 days ago at 4 a.m. to see if I would substitute. I wasn't available, but I had to believe that my name would have been way down on the list, so the need must have been great.
Yes, I now know who Aesop is when they call.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor of the motion that would allow for a carve-out for the exception to policy BCB for purposes of substitute teaching for the district, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So we'll make note of that in the record. Thank you very much. The next one is similarly related, correct?
Yes.
I will let Kimberly discuss why this one. This is policy GCQAB, tutoring for pay.
So I am going to ask the board to waive this policy for the remainder of the school year so that we can have teachers tutor, which would be considered tutoring if students need homebound instruction. So it's very specific for the purposes of homebound instruction outside of obviously the contractual day. That is my request.
So I'll make the motion, but my question is whether the last sentence doesn't actually already allow.
We may not need it. So noted.
The last,
The last sentence which says the above does not apply to tutoring assigned by the school administration?
right, but this, we can't assign students, we can't assign people to tutor outside the
Oh, outside
contractual
of their-
day.
So
Right.
meaning that means during the,
Right,
you interpret that to mean during
right.
the.
Well, that's how I could, yeah.
All right, I
Interpret it.
move we waive policy GCQAB from now until June 30, 2022.
Second.
Moved by Rich, second by Kira. Discussion? Dr. Kriebel.
Would this be in addition, Kimberly, to the tutors that we've just talked about before that were hired for out-of-school instructions, or the AB doing other jobs?
So this is, so right now we have hired 2 people.
Correct.
This is to help us open this up, so it's potentially, we have a larger pool of people who could do this.
But the same idea, though.
Yep, and.
Not the same people, obviously.
Same money, yeah.
Same idea, same.
Yes, same money. It would be, we're trying to make sure that levels match, so.
Thank you.
Additional comments or discussion? Liz?
Can these teachers be hired by individual families as well if we go this route?
So that's not what this waiver would
Okay.
be for.
Additional questions or discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor of waiving policy GCQAB through June 30, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes. You have 2 policies for a first read tonight. The first is policy DN. This is the school properties disposal procedure that was updated through work of our business administrator and working with the policy committee. And the second is policy AFB/CBI, and that's the superintendent evaluation policy. So you have both of those for first reads. If you have comments or questions on those, please get them to Catherine and the policy committee so that they can review those at their next meeting and get you the answers you may have. Questions? Rich?
So we got the federal fiscal monitoring report in our emails, and they want a bunch of policies we don't have. I guess my questions are, one, are we going to be able to do that in time because they want it by early spring? And two, I looked at half a dozen or so other districts when I got that, and so all of them had one or two of these policies, but nobody had them all. Did everyone get the same letter?
No. Oh, everybody here got the same
No,
letter?
no. He means did all of the districts get the
No.
I believe Rich has an equity or targeting question.
No.
So
No. And to my knowledge, I can certainly send something out, but no other district got that letter at this time. That is a result of an audit that was done suddenly last March. And I've never seen the entire board be emailed audit results from the Department of Ed. That must be a new practice.
yeah, I didn't get to that today yet because it wasn't on the agenda, but I'll be applying my filter based on my 9 to 5, based on their report as well.
I mean, the policies they're asking for, there are model policies for all of them. It's easy for us to comply with. But as I said, half a dozen other districts, nobody had them all. So, curious.
So noted. Always curious. With that, we have any other questions on anything on the agenda or not before we move to the next period of public comment? Rich?
My wife teaches in the district, was sick a couple weeks ago and found it very difficult to get a COVID test. At what point does that start being a problem that requires us to do something?
I actually I am scheduling a meeting with a Mr. Dennehy. He represents the SAS, which is Safer at School testing system, to really better understand. They are now saying that they do have staff that could help us, which was my hesitance before, and that could be a significant help to us. The other piece, of course, is when we have symptomatic, that's different, that's not symptomatic testing. I can certainly speak to Mr. Dennehy on his recommendations about symptomatic testing. It would be fantastic if we could find enough rapid tests to be able to offer that solution to parents and staff members immediately at school. That's what I'm exploring right now.
Under the economies of scale, the state would be in an ideal position to purchase said volume of tests.
Well, it's hard though. I mean, there's a legitimate shortage of them, and so yes, I think so. I think my question really was whether we're going to be able to maintain our current policy if teachers can't get tested. And she drove an hour to get a test and then waited 3 days for results. So.
So noted. Good question, Rich. Dick?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the earlier discussion we had from the Department of Ed's letter. I got it and I read it today, and I have to tell you, the first thing that came to my mind was, clearly the Department of Ed is targeting the Conval School District for the efforts that we've made for children and parents and taxpayers in this state. And I was very bothered by that. I know there can be lots of dialogue denying any of that, but one doesn't have to be here long to see that there's something that stinks and it doesn't smell well to me. And I'm bothered by what we got today. from the Department of Ed, because I believe it's intentional, deliberate, to make life here more difficult in the Conval School District, on top of all the other things that have been forced upon us by the Department of Ed because our efforts to do what's right for children.
Thank you, Mr. Dunning. All right, anything else before we move on to the next public comment period? Hearing none, seeing none. We have reached the second public comment period of tonight's meeting. If there's any member of the public present that would like to comment to the board, you may do so at this time by raising your hand and I will call upon you. All right, hearing none, seeing none. Approval of manifests? Do we have that
Yes,
tonight?
we do. So I certify that the manifest listed below totaling $2,583,841.76 in purchases and payroll of $1,987,000. $746.79 have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against Cotucook Valley School District for goods and services received and have been properly processed prior to their submittal to the board.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the manifest as read.
I second that motion.
Moved by Dick, second by Jim. Discussion. Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Manifests are approved. Do we have any items for non-public this evening?
Yep.
For which?
Negotiations and legal.
Okay, so that ends the public portion of tonight's meeting. We will be going into non-public session. I foresee no other public component other than sealing the minutes if needed and adjourning the meeting. So with that, I would entertain to enter non-public.
Under RSA 91-A, (3), Roman numeral 2,
For purposes of
for purposes of legal, factual,
negotiations. Moved by Dr. Ullman. Second by Janine. Tim?
I don't know. It's fine or bad.
Good job.
Too many.
right?